Welcome, sports fans, to another episode of Sports with Ed. In this show, I'll be talking about the U.S. Open as well as the Detroit Lions and their preparation for playing the Chicago Bears next Sunday. However, I'm going to lead off this segment not talking about tennis as I intended, but I have breaking news about the Detroit Lions. They have just signed Adrian Peterson to a one-year contract. Don't know who's going to be released yet because of this, but this is certainly very exciting news, at least from this Lions fan. And when I was looking at the depth chart today and happened to see this, I thought somebody made a mistake. However, it turns out that it's true. So Lions now have Adrian Peterson on board for the next year. Having gone through the players the Lions cut, I can't say I'm surprised really by any of them in light of what's occurred recently. They decided to go with 6 wide receivers if you want to count Jamal Agnew as being one of them. That would be technically 7. Also, they went with a few more linebackers and cornerbacks than they normally would. So that's going to be interesting. But thinking about this with Adrian Peterson now, this is really going to be something to see what kind of move they make. And I'm going to assume that they're going to cut probably Bo Scarborough. It's got to be one of the running backs, I figure. And you know it's not going to be Kerryon Johnson or DeAndre Swift. Also, it'll be interesting to see how many carries Adrian Peterson gets as well from this. Or if you will, per game. So, having gone through the list, like I was saying, of all the players that the Lions have could get, that other teams have cut, there were 2 that stood out in my mind. One was T.J.Green, whom the Carolina Panthers cut, who's a cornerback, and the other one was Sidney Jones that the Eagles cut, a former second-round selection. T.J.Green tore his Achilles tendon, so that's why last year, so that's why he got cut. And Sidney Jones, I'm not quite sure, why the Eagles cut him, presumably because of their depth, but he could be a good addition to the Lions as far as I'm concerned. And of all the players I've seen and looked at, I would say those would be the 2 that stand out in my mind. Now, one might ask, why would the Lions sign a player who tore his Achilles tendon? Well, considering the Lions were last by a good margin against the pass last year, anybody of any quality right now can only help to improve the team. However, if I had my selection of one of those 2 players, I certainly would go with Sidney Jones over T.J.Green for the reason that I stated above regarding his Achilles tendon. In the next segment, I'll be discussing the ladies' side of the U.S. Open. Stay tuned to Sports with Ed on Ed's Sports Channel.